The U.S. envoy to Haiti, Dan Foote, resigned from his position yesterday, just 2 months after his appointment to it. In his resignation letter to his boss, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, Foote noted, quote, a deeply flawed U.S. policy toward the nation, Haiti, that includes continued political intervention and the administration's recent decision to ramp up deportations. He said, I will not be associated with the United States' inhumane, counterproductive decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees. The Center for Economic and Policy Research reports that Foote's resignation comes as the Biden administration pushes forward with one of the largest mass expulsions of asylum seekers in decades. At least 12 flights have transported an estimated 1,400 individuals from Texas to Haiti in the past 4 days, and such flights are expected to nearly double throughout the week. The Biden administration has pledged to totally close the Del Rio, Texas border camp, where some 14,000 people had gathered last week hoping to apply for asylum in the United States. And though the administration has stated it is prioritizing single adults for deportation, what's really happening is that flight manifests show that a significant portion of those being sent back to Haiti are families with young children. This is, of course, all in response to the horrific treatment of mostly Haitian immigrants that's occurring right now at the U.S.-Mexico border town of Del Rio, Texas, with Customs and Border Patrol agents on horseback using the reins and the horses they are on to forcibly push hungry and desperate and afraid, mostly Haitian immigrants back into Mexico across the Rio Grande River, ensuring that they don't cross over the invisible border onto precious U.S. soil. All the outrage now from politicians, to me, it's very interesting, since the very same elected officials in this Democratic administration have been just as xenophobic and inhumane in their immigration policy as the Republican administration before them was. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said just 3 days ago that although the migrants in Del Rio present a challenging and heartbreaking situation, he also said, quote, if you come to the United States illegally, you will be returned. Your journey will not succeed, and you will be endangering your life and your family's life. Never mind that the lives of these people and their families were endangered in their own home countries when the U.S. interfered and propped up puppet governments led by despotic dictators and money-hungry henchmen who kept the people poor while they unleashed U.S. and Western armed and trained militarized police forces upon the people for demanding true democracy, dignity, and their right to self-determination. They never mentioned that. And then Vice President Kamala Harris, who responded to the emerging violation of human rights via a statement issued by her chief spokesperson, Symone Sanders, said that she has, quote, grave concerns about the mistreatment of Haitian migrants by Border Patrol agents on horses and the need of all Customs and Border Protection agents to treat people with dignity, humanely, and consistent with our laws and our values. Values? Just a few months ago in June, in a press conference alongside Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammatteo, Harris told immigrants trying to come to the U.S., quote, illegally, she said, do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our borders. And then she added quite emphatically, if you come to our border, you will be turned back. Oh, but we're supposed to believe that she has grave concerns now. And let me be clear, what's being done by those CPB agents on horseback to people is horrific and inhumane and racist, just like the entire U.S. immigration policy is. One of the would-be frontiersmen was recorded on a video posted by Al Jazeera on Twitter as saying, you use your women? This is why your country's, I can't pronounce that word, begins with an S, ends with a T, because you use your women for this. What exactly is this racist monster talking about using women for? Going across the river to get food for their children? Escaping a country ravaged by U.S. imperialism and capitalist oppression? Because despite what he might believe, that is why Haiti is in the state it is in. And that is why Dan Foote mentioned a deeply flawed U.S. policy toward the nation, Haiti, that includes continued political intervention in his resignation. Foote went further to state that what our Haitian friends really want and need is the opportunity to chart their own course without international puppeteering and favored candidates, but with genuine support for that course. I do not believe that Haiti can enjoy stability until her citizens have the dignity of truly choosing their own leaders fairly and acceptably. Now, Foote was careful not to criticize this particular administration too harshly directly in his resignation letter. I mean, because, the CIA and all. But he correctly pointed out the effect that the overall U.S. policy toward Haiti has always had, and how that's destroyed the country and the lives of her people. His recommendations to the Biden administration to depart from decades of oppressive U.S. policy toward Haiti were ignored. So rather than continue to be a party to the crimes against humanity that the U.S. continues to commit against Haiti and her people, Foote resigned. And I applaud Dan Foote for resigning, and especially for calling out U.S. imperialism against Haiti without using the actual word. But don't expect the U.S. to ever have a different orientation other than imperialism toward Haiti or any other country struggling against U.S. capitalism and imperialism and struggling for their own self-determination, not even from this Democratic, supposedly better than Republican administration. Remember, these are the same people, Kamala Harris, Joseph Biden, and honestly, practically every member of Congress who are multi-term incumbents who voted for the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and who continue to push the lies behind them to defend their endless war on so-called terror. Follow Luqman Nation on patreon.com/LuqmanNation for lots of great content.